giving my 2 cents on it. Go in and do a raid at someone's house, but you don't have an arrest warrant for them. Well, welcome. As we bring you the list of the top 5 worst sports podcast shows out there. Now, granted, I have not watched all sports podcast shows, but these are based on the ones I've watched. And there are plenty of them that's on the lower tier that you would probably say, oh, this is awful, but, they're not expected to be good. For the amount of money that has been poured into them, you would expect a lot more. Now, we're looking at a sports podcast show that's really just 2 guys talking. It's not really a podcast show, but they just label it a podcast show and just go from there. And this is not a show that's on the list. It's Tim Legler and his show, and they actually give great insight. And there's plenty of shows like this, but bad podcast shows, you can tell right away. And here we're going to give you the top 5 and give you the reason why they're the top 5. Let's start off with number 5 on the list. Number 5 on the list is the Kelsey Brothers show, New Heights. By far, this is one of the worst shows ever, as there's 2 brothers who basically tell inside jokes and expects the rest of the general public to understand what the hell they're talking about, as they laugh about things that we don't even know, and we're like, what are they talking about here? And when the show gets dull and stale, it's like a bunch of tryhards. Now, Jason Kelsey is much better at it than Travis. Travis has to be very guarded because of his relationship with Taylor Swift. And when the ratings get low on the show, they bring in Taylor Swift, but then says, I don't want to use Taylor Swift in our relationship to have anything to do with the show. But yet, that has not been the case. Stale. It's like 2 football players who definitely should be great when it comes to football. They're not. Unfortunately, when it comes to breaking down what teams are doing, what they need to do, it's become a glamorous, like, we're stars. And it's really flat, bland show that has nothing good going for it. I don't even know how anybody can make it through 3 minutes of just listening to them gloat over each other. It has become an embarrassment to podcast shows to me, and definitely digress. So I don't know if you watch New Heights and you've seen something in there you liked. Maybe you did, but I have not. Number 4 on this list is a new show, and it's only been out a month, but would have been a lot higher on the list had we seen anything of the information. But after a month, my gosh. The Gil Arena show with Skip Bayless called Gridiron, another underdog fantasy thrown together product where they just basically take a show and submit it for the whole world to see. They just come along, throw a program out there together, a show, and everyone has to go along with it. It's pretty much repetitive, and definitely one that would be a cause for attention. Like, it'll be a cause for you to pay attention to this said program or said show. Now, let's get to the problems with this show. It was so rushed and thrown together. They basically turned and built this whole thing into a football set. Just
eliminating anything that has something to do with Gilbert Arenas, who's, dealing with his problems with the federal government after being indicted by the federal government for his allegedly being involved with an illegal ran casino, and then a sports betting app is sponsoring him. This is, the whole thing is corrupt to high heaven, and and rules committee should definitely take a look at this. From the lack of music, the lack of chemistry, the bland topics, the fact that Gilbert Arenas is on this show who has no knowledge, it seems like a complete hack show. It's a hatchet job of a sports, podcast show. And they just figure we'll just throw these guys out here, we'll talk football, and we'll just go and wing it. And anybody who has one great take, no one else could really follow up on it. And the show is being pretty much ran just like a bootleg version of Gil's Arena. And that brings us to number 3 on our list, which is Mind the Game with LeBron James and now Steve Nash. It started with JJ Redick, where LeBron James gets to discuss some basketball plays and then turn that into a fluff piece about him and make the show about him where there's no pushback whatsoever. Steve Nash just go, yep. Okay, you're right, LeBron. There's no pushback. And we're going to mind the game. None of that is the game. The game always is critiqued. There's always a defense. And it's just this program where LeBron gets to drink and and talk and gloat about himself. It's ridiculous. Rave and respond because of the fandom of LeBron that they don't even see that what they're rooting for is basically nonsense. Where they should stick on focusing on plays, they discuss plays that LeBron don't even run as they look at plays ran by other teams. And LeBron don't run these plays. So it's amazing that he's even having input. And at number 2, we have the Stephen A. Smith Show. And the Stephen A. Smith Show is basically normally him talking to himself. But now as he's switching from sports, he's trying to hustle the political world too. And I told you he was going to do this because that's what this guy is. He's a hack. He's hard to listen to, especially for 2 hours, 3 hours. I don't even know how people even do it and where are they finding these people at that would tune in to listen to Stephen A. Smith basically lie for 2 hours straight and exaggerate stories way beyond comprehension. He acts like he's too smart for everyone in the room when he's not. And he's basically lied about his career and everything else. But as a podcast show, I wouldn't even know if I would classify this as a podcast show. It's just a puff piece for Stephen A. Smith to try to pretend like he's the smartest guy in the room when it is clear that he is not. And the number 1 worst sports podcast show that's out is Gil's Arena. Gil's Arena is awful for a lot of different reasons. 1, Gilbert Arenas. 2, Josiah, the co-host. It's not that he's doing a bad job. It's the fact that he doesn't realize he's doing a bad job. The show is a hack. They take whatever is trending on Twitter and try to make that into a topic and discuss it. And it's like these are former NBA basketball players that's on this show. And you're basically doing TikTok questions and challenges. It is the worst idea for a show I've ever seen. All the topics are, cookie cutter if you've ever seen it. And it's no real insight on sports. And the personalities just don't mesh. You have Brandon Jennings, who's just basically high on the show. He's barely engaged. And when another person is speaking, instead of everyone realizing they're engaged, you got one guy showing another guy stuff on the phone. They're not even caring about what the other person is saying. It takes away from the show. They don't even have this platform anymore. Like, this whole thing has been changed to a football platform. I had to show you the old one just so it could relatable to what it used to be before Gil got hit with federal indictment. This is growing to be a major problem for people who are not in the know. People who know, they're going to realize that at the end of the day, a podcast show could either enhance you or make you worse off than you can ever imagine. And I don't think they want to be in that position. So, I'll say that to say this. There's a lot of improvement that can be made on this show. I think they've gotten a hint. Gil talks to me behind the scenes and he claims he doesn't listen to what I say, but it seems like he does because he's been making changes. As you see, less people are on the couch. Before, they got like 6, 7 people on the couch. It's like Joe Budden circus, and Gilbert Arenas likes to copy what everybody else is doing. So now he's got the Gilbert Arenas show going on his page. But this is just another failed product where it looks good, but the actual, product is trash. It is absolute trash. And I've never seen another sports show that's a podcast show as bad as this, with as much money that's been put into it. There's no follow-ups. There's no real feedback. It's just biased opinion based on agendas. More of the same nonsense that we've seen constantly from other people. So, on that note, we want to say thank you for tuning in. It's your boy Carcino here. And you want to get real updates, you tune in to me. And that's the real. Watch Kwame Brown Bust Life, Sports Talk with Jose Rodriguez. Welcome to HDII TV and Carcino for Life. One crack news. Other than that, and don't forget the Patreon of Carcino for Life. Patreon is much more raw, gripping. Anyway, I'm out. Thank you for your time.